Hello everyone, I'm here in the beautiful city of Sydney with a very exciting guest author. This is Tommy Wallach. Thank you so much for coming with me and filming today.
Thanks for having me.
So he's the New York Times best-selling author of We All Looked Up and Thanks for the Trouble. So why don't you tell us a little bit about both of these books?
I would love to. So We All Looked Up takes place in Seattle, in America, where I'm from. And at the beginning of the book, 4 high school students discover that there is an asteroid coming at the Earth. It has a 2/3 chance of colliding, making everybody dead, and it would come in about 2 months. So the book takes place in this 2-month period while they try to come to terms with this possible tragedy. The other book, this one came out just a few months ago. It is about a boy named Parker. There's Parker, right? Parker can't speak, and he meets a girl named Zelda over there who claims to be hundreds of years old, and the two of them spend a romantic weekend together.
Lovely, sounds wonderful. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about writing and music because Tommy is also an indie musician and you've made an album to go alongside We All Looked Up.
It's true.
So, I thought I'd pick his brain a little bit, answer some questions, and then at the end of it get him to perform one of his songs from the album. So, you ready to do this?
Yay!
Awesome! What story, idea, or draft, which you may have once thought was a great idea and even written, like completed a draft for, now makes you cringe?
Oh god, there's so much.
Okay.
There's so many cringe things. Okay, I'll give 2 quick answers.
Okay.
I wrote a whole book. So I wrote a lot of books that failed before the first book that was published. And the first novel I ever wrote was called The Beauties. And it was about sending all of the ugly people on Earth to another planet on a giant spaceship. That's really true. And then with We All Looked Up, the entire second half of the book, in the original draft, I thought that it would make sense that the kids, to keep the kids off the street, they would be sort of like quarantined in their school.
Okay.
And that's what I did. But as soon as I sent it around to people were like, that's the dumbest possible idea, because no parent would ever allow their child, if there were like 3 weeks left on Earth, they would not let their child be locked up. It was ridiculous.
My gosh.
Embarrassing.
That's so funny. Have you ever revealed or shared anything that you probably shouldn't have whilst at like a book launch or signing or anything?
Oh, this is a great question because it means I'm going to repeat the things that I shouldn't have said the first time.
Well, it's already out in the open, so it's not as bad as
it's already out. At my book launch for Thanks for the Trouble, I'm adapting Thanks for the Trouble as a movie, and somebody else attempted to adapt We All Looked Up as a movie and wrote a script. And I'm not a huge fan of the script they came up with. And I may have talked about that in public. Now a second time. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you revealed that the idea for your debut novel came to you when you're living in a ghost town in Spain.
That is
with
true.
A population of 6, which is really cool. What was it like living in this ghost town?
Oh, it was magical. It was a really long sort of story. I was supposed to be living in England, but I got locked out of England.
Oh no.
My passport got X'd, so I couldn't be in England.
No.
So my girlfriend and I at the time had a friend who had this place in a town called Santa Maria del Buil.
Ooh.
Del Buil, the north of Spain. It was beautiful. I mean, it wasn't haunted, but it was beautiful. It was these all the houses were just like old stone houses, and they were mostly empty. It was beautiful. It was kind of creepy.
I can imagine it would be a little bit, just so much emptiness. Wow.
But I liked it.
Oh good, that's awesome. Do any of your characters possess the same traits as you? And are there any that you wish you didn't have?
Oh, definitely. I always say that pretty much all of my characters are me. Like I don't pull from other people, only because I don't feel like I know other people well enough to actually do them justice as human beings. So with We All Looked Up, it has 4 protagonists. 2 are male and 2 are female. And I am much, much, much more like the 2 female characters. I am a hybrid of the 2 female characters. So one of them is kind of an overachiever, and then one is like a weirdly, how to put it, let's just say she's the artsy girl. Let's just say she's the artsy girl. And I'm like that. So I have a lot of their traits.
And one's a singer as well.
And one's a singer. Yes, there you go. Boom.
So now moving on to some of the musical questions.
Yes.
What was your most embarrassing experience while doing a live show?
This goes like a long way back.
But
if I had to think about the most embarrassing thing I've ever done on stage, in high school, and I wasn't really writing songs seriously yet, but I had written one, and I wrote it about a girl that I had been like in love with for a really long time, but she was also my best friend. She was my best friend, but she knew that I had been in love with her. She just did not reciprocate my intense and magical feelings because she was a fool. At at graduation, I actually played the song that I had written about her. And at the time, that seemed logical, but when I think back on it now, that I played a weird, sad love song about a girl that everyone knew in front of them all, it was a terrible idea.
Oh dear.
Terrible idea. Yeah.
How long does it take you to write songs, and how many edits or drafts do they usually go through before completion?
Songs. You know, songs are weird. Songs are weird because songs can be written much more when you're inspired and you just do it. I once read, I forget who it was now, it was Grimes or Lord or one of those young, talented musicians who said, like, if a song takes me more than 10 minutes, I know it's bad. I don't agree with that, you know, but I will say that that has happened, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you get an idea and you sit down at the piano and it more or less comes out. And then there are songs where, you know, I would write like a riff or something, but it would be years before I found something to put to it that made sense. So it can go both ways. I like the fast ones better.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Way easier.
Have you ever had the chance to meet a favorite musician or band where you completely starstruck?
Yes, let's see, I've met a few people. Probably the biggest one, because it was such a big part of my childhood, I was obsessed with Ben Folds 5. Do you know Ben Folds?
Yes.
Because he lived in Australia for many years.
Wow, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. He lived in Adelaide. He wrote a song about Adelaide.
I totally missed that one.
But I was obsessed with him because he got me into playing, because I grew up playing classical piano.
Okay.
And he was the reason that I started kind of doing other stuff with the piano, like rock music and singer-songwriter stuff.
That's awesome.
So I did eventually get to meet him. I met him, it was bizarre actually, I met him through, we had this show in the States that you probably didn't have here, a TV show on MTV called Fanatic. Did you have Fanatic?
No, not that I recall.
So I wasn't on Fanatic, but Fanatic took like the biggest fan of a band and then let the person meet the person they were obsessed with. I was not the Fanatic, but I was in an airport once and I saw like a film crew go by. They were like, this is the Hanson Fanatic. Do you know the band Hanson?
Yes,
they sang Mbop. And so I got to meet the Hanson Fanatic.
Oh my god.
And then years later I met the Ben Folds Fanatic. And through him I got to go at the end of a concert meet Ben Folds.
Wow.
That was exciting.
That is incredible. That would have been really cool.
It was.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
Do you find it easy to come up with song titles?
Oh, that's interesting. You know, overall, yes. Book titles has been really difficult. But song titles, yeah, they usually come early. I had a friend who once said that if you didn't know the name of a song, then like you had no right, like it wasn't ready. It wasn't ready, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't sing it if you didn't know what it was about. Which I think is kind of cool. I don't know if it's true, but I like the idea.
Yeah. And what is the worst song title or book title that you've ever thought of?
This is going to now sound like a running bizarre thing. But I won't say one of them because I don't know how old your audience is. But I do have one called How Ugly People Fall in Love, which is so offensive and horrible. And yet I was in high school, you know what I mean? And so
Young minds.
It's still available on Spotify.
Oh, really?
I think it is on Spotify.
Okay, I might have to go do some
It's really horrible.
Yeah. Oh no. Do you have any other fun facts or confessions that could be book or music related or not that you'd like to reveal to us today?
Oh, let's see. Any other? I have all the fun facts.
Oh, good.
I like telling a story because I always think of this story when I'm here because I haven't been in Australia before. This is my first time in Australia.
Yep.
But when I was a little kid, I was in New Zealand.
Yep.
And when I was in New Zealand, I was there with my mom, and I was desperate to pet a sheep the whole time I was there because there's sheep everywhere, and they're fluffy, and you can't touch them. It's really offensive. It's like teasing all these sheep, you know, like little clouds with faces. So we stayed at this one bed and breakfast, though, and they kept sheep. They had a sheep farm.
Okay.
But they were like, you can't touch any of our sheep, but we have a pet sheep. We keep one sheep as a pet, and his name is Jake.
Yep.
And you can maybe try to pet him. So they gave me a piece of bread and said, go out to the back and like call Jake. Yep. And give him the piece of bread and you can pet him while he's eating the bread.
Yep.
So we go to the back and their backyard is like 5 square miles. So it's literally so big that we can't see Jake. Like the yard is so big that you can't inherently see all of it.
Yeah.
So we climb over the fence and we go looking for him, and eventually we find him in like a grove of trees. And he's gigantic.
Oh god.
He's gigantic, and he has like a crazy, like gigantic evil face, and he has these big rolled back horns like a ram.
Yeah.
He's not like a cute little sheep. You know what I mean?
God, he's
like he eats babies. You know, he's terrifying. And so we give him the bread.
Yeah.
But for him, a piece of bread is like a Dorito crumb. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing
going to satisfy remotely.
He eats the bread in like one demonic swallow, and then he's like, "Where's the rest of my food?" And he starts headbutting me. And I'm like 9 years old.
Oh my
and
gosh.
he's a really big thing. So it was actually legitimately frightening,
Yep.
him headbutting me.
Oh my goodness.
And my mom freaks out too, of course.
Yep.
So we had to climb a tree. And we were up there for like an hour and a half until he wandered far enough away that we could run for the fence.
My goodness.
And when we got back to the house, we were like bleeding, you know what I mean, from like climbing this like scratchy tree and running and climbing the fence. And they were like, what happened? Where did you go? And we were like, we went to see Jake. And she was like, you weren't supposed to go inside. He's crazy. Don't cross the fence.
What?
Stupid Americans. So
why would they have a pet sheep if they couldn't pet him? Like all of them you can't pet.
agreed.
Oh,
Agreed.
it's a pet sheep.
It's a
You're
pet
supposed to be
sheep.
able to pet
The
it.
word pet is in the name. Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
I know.
All right, so thank you so much for answering my questions and having some chats about books and music. About ready to sing a song?
I would love to sing a song.
Awesome.
So I'm going to preface this so it makes some sense. So this song was on my previous album, and it was about my girlfriend at the time's ex-boyfriend, who was like the nicest guy ever, but he never complained about anything, which meant it was really hard for me to get along with him. And I thought to myself, I bet that's what it would have been like to be friends with Jesus. Like a really nice guy, but if he just wanted to complain, it would have been hard. And I thought, like, that's interesting. So that's what the song is about. Da 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 da. Da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Well, I bet Christ must have seemed cold, 'cause you'd really have to be to truly love everyone. You'd need a bird's eye view. Stay out of the trenches, only let him touch your feet. Only let them know your bloody heart in the wine they drink and the blood they go away. And hope they still believe what you say. I am a hero. Watched as if through glass, my heart rewrite the truth. Some lies for you, more for myself. They are my favorite kind. But if I were cold as Christ, I could finally tell it straight. All the love, all the hurt, all the shit that I couldn't bring myself to say. And I'd open up my arms and call your name. Ooh, I am a hero. Ooh.
Woo! Thank you.